Today we're going to make a shelf that holds pieces of a broken mirror. I ordered a mirror online to use for a bathroom vanity, but it arrived broken into a bunch of pieces. Now I noticed I actually liked the way the pieces look. They have this really cool sort of icicle, jagged aesthetic, and I wanted to figure out what I could do with them. Now most of the pieces were pretty big and I was worried about them being flimsy and breaking again, so I actually broke them up with a hammer into smaller pieces until I had a couple of nice icicle looking pieces that I could use. I decided to make a shelf that they could be embedded in, so I cut a short length of scrap 2x6 and then marked the locations of how I wanted the mirrors to be set into the 2x6. Then I just drew out lines that had the thickness of the mirrors on them, and then drilled a series of holes to create slots that the mirror would slide into. I used my Kiwi knife to cut away the pieces of wood that were in between the holes that I was drilling. Now, I could have used a hammer and chisel, that would have worked fine, but I was a little bit worried since I was cutting with the grain that the hammer and chisel might be too aggressive and split the wood too much. I sanded the board smooth with my orbital sander. I use a sanding sponge just to round over the edges of the mirror a little bit and make them a little less sharp. Now what I like about the mirrors is that they have these really delicate points. Now that also makes them a little bit dangerous and potentially fragile. So I didn't want them to break while they were in the shelf and then have fallen glass lying around. So I put a layer of duct tape on the back of them. This way there's something sticky and strong that's holding them all together, so even if they do break, they won't fall into a bunch of pieces. And if you're really worried about the glass being too sharp, you can paint the edges with a coat of Flex Seal. It's this sort of like rubberized liquid. You just paint it right on and then it creates sort of a rubber coating that covers up the sharp edges of glass. I want to make sure that the shelf is securely installed, so I use my stud finder to find the location of the 2x4s behind a drywall, and then screwed some metal brackets to the wall, checked to make sure it was level, and then mounted the 2x6 shelf. This is a great project for a mudroom or entryway, and you could also add additional hooks to the shelves to hang keys or other items. For more detailed instructions, check out my website, and if you want to see what I'm working on next, be sure to follow me on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already.